Welcome to the Rising from the Ashes podcast. I'm your host, Amy Grace, obsessed with coffee, cowboy boots, and deep relationships. I'm on a mission to help you find the gold in your story through faith, family, and wellness, because I believe your story can break you wide open to live a beautiful, abundant, and vibrant life. I'll share with you how the hard seasons and difficult circumstances can become a catalyst of growth that often lead into some of the most beautiful stories we've ever told. I'm so grateful you're here. Grab a cup of coffee and let's talk. Hey friend, welcome back to Rising from the Ashes. Today's episode is such a treat. I'm joined by interior designer Grace Porter, whose work embodies timeless design and peaceful living. Grace has this incredible gift for creating spaces that feel both elevated and deeply grounded, homes that breathe calm into your everyday life. We're talking about how your environment shapes your energy, why timeless design never goes out of style, and the simple shifts that can make your home feel more like a sanctuary. Let's dive in. Well, I'm super duper excited to have you on. When I asked my Instagram audience for recommendations and Lexi recommended you, I started stalking your Instagram and I was like, oh my gosh, I love just the feel of your design. And I know that we're both working on tight schedules here, so we'll just jump right in. Just so we can respect your time and all the things. But Grace, I feel like when I scroll through your work, it's like elevated but livable, and it just feels effortless. I don't know, there's something so inviting about it. So I would love if you would tell us a little bit about your story, but also like, where does your design philosophy come from?
Okay, well, I love your interpretation of my design style because I almost didn't do interior design at first because I didn't want to get on Instagram. Because I feel like Instagram is very posed.
Mm-hmm.
Things have to look a certain way. And I was just like, I don't want to be fake. Like I was like, I don't want to have to try so hard, is honestly a lot of it. And because the truth is, I feel like we're all deserving of a beautiful home, and it doesn't matter what our income is. Honestly, there are just simple rules to interior design that you can apply, whether you're shopping at Walmart for your accessories or whether you are going to a high-end luxury brand that most people don't even know exists because it's just that fancy, right? So it's just, if everybody could have access to these rules and apply it to their homes, I think it would just create more of a home that just feels peaceful.
Yes.
Realistic for whatever season of life you are in. For example, I have 4 children, right? You have 2 children. It's not realistic for me to have a perfect home all the time, but I want a home that my children feel comfortable in, they feel relaxed in. My husband comes home from working hard for our family, and everybody's excited to be there.
Yes, I feel that.
Yeah. For example, the current home that we're living in, we painted the walls alabaster, and I do love it. But the hallway got really dirty really quickly, just because smaller space. And I'm like, this is not practical. Like, this is not practical for my family. So we picked out a pretty green, and we've painted the whole hallway a beautiful green. And we have a fun wallpaper accent wall on the ceiling. And I'm like, okay, this is practical. Like, it's not going to show up from when my kids drop their shoes in the hallway or their book bags or this or that. But it's a green that's also trendy and pretty. So it's like just switching things up when you can.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah.
Grace, when you think back to your own childhood home, were there certain elements that really shaped how you feel about space and design?
I would say so. My mom actually is the one who got me started with interior design.
Okay.
After she became an empty nester, she went back to schooling and she got her interior design degree. And she's the one who helped teach me all about the rules and the concept of design.
How fun.
Yes. Now I'm the one who's like taking it full force. I'm like, okay, like I'm going to do this. Like I'm an entrepreneur at heart.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and I like the flexibility so that I can still be very involved at home and with my children. So it allows me that free time, I guess. But no, I love the way the home felt on like a fall day when we had like straightened up, right? And then you
Mm-hmm.
kind of have the candles. It was just a feeling almost. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, our sofas were white, right? Or it was more of the way the sofas were placed, and or our dining room, just the way the dining room felt. It's just little things like that that honestly, I don't know, meant a lot to me.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know you mentioned the white walls and you painted them green. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming that there is a yes to this question. But just looking through your Instagram, your spaces seem really balanced. Like they're really beautiful, but they seem functional. And you have
Mm-hmm.
already alluded to that. Have you always approached it that way? Or do you feel like motherhood and just life experience has also shaped some of that?
Honestly, from the very beginning, when I talk with my clients, I try to understand my clients and what season of life they are in. I also pretty much work with all design styles. So that's the other thing when I'm like curating my Instagram page, it's also like I want to represent my personal style and who I
Mm-hmm.
am, but I also want to represent that I do have the flexibility to work with clients who have something that's not, let's just say, trending, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, one of my biggest clients that I had about 2 years ago who helped really get me started. I've been doing it for 5 years now, so it may have been 3 or 4 years now. Who knows? When you have children, everything just
Everything goes
yeah,
so fast.
it does. I'm like, oh, that was a time ago. She had an eclectic style.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. But her style taught me to lean into like color and like realizing like you don't have to be afraid of it and you can still like bring it together and make it feel homey even though you have a pink vanity in your bathroom, like tying it all together to represent her and
Uh-huh.
her style, but also understanding like resale value and like making sure like, okay, she's gonna have to sell this house one day. You still want it to like, you want people to walk in and be like, this just looks incredible, not, oh, you have a very distinct style,
Yeah.
I do try to create balance with my client's style versus also just the simplicity of like, you don't want to lean in too much because you might get tired of it, honestly. Like this color shirt, you're not going to want to paint all your walls this color.
True. True. Kind of going off of that, something that I wanted to touch on was just kind of that timeless style. So obviously you're working with different people, different styles, different vibes. I do feel like what you showcase like on your website and on your Instagram is very timeless. Um, so going off of that, what does timeless design mean to you? And how do you feel like listeners can bring that into their home without breaking the bank?
Yes. So we are actually about to start building. We have graded our lots and we are ready to go.
So
Um,
exciting.
I have been, I've already designed the whole home. We haven't even started, but like every decision I've had to make, you actually really do need to know before you get started building because you have to pick out where your windows are going to go, what kind of windows, how many windows, even your light fixtures. Like I want to do something unique. And that's the other thing talking about creating a timeless look without breaking the bank, I think is light fixtures, truly.
Okay.
Um, a lot of people are intimidated to change out a light fixture because like, oh, we have to hire an electrician or this or that. But now because of Wayfair and Amazon, you can
Mm-hmm.
find incredible and affordable light fixtures. And that will change everything in your home, just switching out the foyer light. Or a lot of people, for the longest, they like to have three pendant lights over the kitchen island, but switching it out to two. I mean, it's really pretty. And then in this next home we're doing, I have the heart of my home that we're about to do that I feel like has changed my mindset as a mother and wife in general is we have expanded the dining room, and
Okay.
I want the dining room to be the heart of the home. I want to go back and think about having family dinners and
Mm-hmm.
having, like, I don't know, just the simplicity of your family is everything. But I feel like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we actually put more time and energy into those around us that we forget that there's something important about dressing things up for your own family.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, last night I did a pretty place setting for my family. Okay. I do not do this all the time, okay? But I just happened to have the time because my husband was outside with all the kids, minus the baby, and I fixed it real pretty. My two older children come in, and on their own, they said, "Mom, we're gonna go change and dress up because we feel like we're at a fancy."
Oh,
Like, y'all noticed?
that is precious.
Right? And then even my toddler,
Wow.
he had a napkin, okay? And he had used it because he'd spilled some of his milk. I saw him on his own grab a new napkin, lay it right next to his plate, and put his fork back on it.
Oh my gosh. That is
So
really
you're
sweet.
talking about interior design here, but it's that this is for your family. Like, your
Yes.
home family. Like, this is how you make your children feel. This is how, like, when you have guests who walk in, how do you make them feel? And I just love a nurturing environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I do, in our modern society, a lot of us are lacking that like nurturing touch in our homes,
Mm-hmm.
which the timeless design can be done. And a lot of it comes down to, like, you can go antique shopping. Like, if you're like, okay, especially right now, trending is kind of like that old school antiques, and like even the red oak is making its way back, and just a lot of the antique furniture. But a lot of people, it's just a different shade of stain. So if you go yard selling or you're at an antique shop, you see this beautiful dining room table and you're like, I love it and I want it, but I don't like the color.
Mm-hmm.
Get it. Either paint it and get accent chairs, or either get a sander from Home Depot, sand it and try to stain it yourself. Like, if it's solid wood, you
Mm-hmm.
have the flexibility to kind of bring it back to life and switch it up to what might be more trendy now, which is kind of like a medium and light color stain versus your cherry, or that kind of a red color that you used to see back in the 90s.
Okay.
I don't know if that kind of answered your question or not, but
Yes, and I love that you brought up the word nurturing. I don't know that I've ever like put that word with design, but I have for like years had this like just longing in my heart of like, you get to the end of like a really long day, or it's just been like life is hard and overwhelming in certain seasons, and you just have this thought in your head of like, I just want to go home, but like this is your home. And it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
man, I want this space to feel safe. And like, I just think like when my kids come home from like a long day at school, like I want them to have a place that just feels safe, that feels like a hug, where they feel like they can exhale. And I do feel
yeah.
like that nurturing word just kind of sums all of that up. And I've never really like
It,
put that word with it before.
yeah, and it's funny because one of the basic needs of a man, because even like talking about marriage, is they do love to be nurtured. And I think a lot of men, when they hear interior design, they're just like, some are like, oh, yeah, I get it. And some are like, what's the point? You have some men who are like, why do you buy furniture, this or that? But with my experience, men love and appreciate interior design so much. And I think it's because it creates like a calmness in their home, and it creates that place of nurture
Interesting.
them. And then also they're like, wow, like all my hard work, like I can live in a place like this. Like they it makes it's a sense of pride in a good way. Like, they're proud of what they've created for their families.
That makes so much sense, but I have never thought about that before.
Yeah,
Never.
there's psychology behind it. And even a client that I have right now, it is a simple refresh. They've been living in this home for 7, 8 years, but the wall colors are painted yellow. Right before they bought the house, somebody put brand new carpet like in the dining room and everywhere, and they
Oh
were like, we
gosh.
felt bad for replacing the carpet, but like, so they've been waiting. So now they're ready for a refresh. And looking at their home, I try to go off like the bones of the home. So
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not gonna recommend a modern style when it's a traditional home, right? And a lot of the current new builds are lacking the extra trim work and the crown molding. Well, this home already has a lot of that. And because it's paired with yellow walls, they thought it was outdated. And I was like, actually, no. Yes, that look with yellow is outdated, but I'm like, you are going to be like, you would have to pay a lot of money right now to have someone come in and do this trim work for you. Or they have a beautiful arch that's already in their home and
Oh,
knocking it out. They're like, we're just tired of seeing this. And I'm like, no, just trust me. Like, this is worth keeping. And I've showed them pictures and they're like, we had no idea that like our house even had this potential. And all we really need to do is change paint colors. So I'm really excited about that project and I'll share more about it because it's
oh,
also just
yes.
practical. And I even told them, I'm like, I appreciate the fact that you decided to hire me before just painting
Hmm.
or before buying tile. I think the best advice I could give anybody listening today, if they choose not to hire an interior designer, is a lot of homeowners, let's say you're having to do, let's just say, new floors, new paint, new light fixtures, and new furniture. What a lot of people do is they pick out a paint color and they're like, we love that paint color. And so it's like, check. Oh my gosh, we love that floor. Check. We love the tile. Check. We love the sofa. Check. But not once did they take a step back to say, everything that I loved, did it actually all come together?
Okay, yeah.
And that's where a lot of homeowners are investing their own money. And I've been there. Like, I get it. Like, it's frustrating when you finally get to a financial point that you're ready to be able to buy something. And you're like, okay, here it goes. And you put it in your home and you're like, what's wrong with it? And it's like, oh, that sofa was too big. It was the color that you needed,
Hmm.
but it's shape or it's the arms aren't correct. There's so much to it. So the advice I'd give people is you need to find a vision for your home. And then based off of the vision you have for your home, pick out the wall color, pick out the floors, pick out the sofa, going by the vision versus just throwing it all together, if that makes sense. Making sure it all complements each other.
Yes, you get that cohesive whole look.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so kind of going off of this, I love that you brought up that your current client. I do feel like there is such a temptation to like chase the trends,
Mm-hmm.
especially like when we're consuming so much social media and seeing other people's homes and just like, oh, well, I could do that, or oh, that's cute. But what would you tell clients who want their home to feel current but not feel dated in 2 years?
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. And I think there's pros and cons to social media and Pinterest right now. It gives you so many more ideas, and you're like, oh, I can do that. But I can't tell you how many people like it. It changes. Like it's like, boom. I would honestly stick to the rules because I feel like even if the style gets a little outdated, if your home is sized correct. Sorry, my little
You're
one's
good.
yelling at me. Shiloh, what are you doing? Can you say hey?
Hi, buddy. So sweet.
So cute. He's sweet. Okay. Back to what we were talking about. You asked me
Okay.
how to stay like implement trends, but also okay, that's what I would do. There are certain trends. Okay. If you love a trend and you know in your heart, like this best represents you out of anything you've ever seen before, lean into it because that personal style might be yours. And
Hmm.
even in 5 years, if it changes, you don't mind because you're like, I love it. Like, that's me. I also think staying true to whatever current house you live in, I would you can bring aspects of like what's trendy into the home, like your throw pillows, maybe some of the colors. But if you live in a cottage like French country, like that's very popular right now. If you live in a new build, a lot of people are kind of like, let's say, adding that French country look, but it's like you're like it's hard to when there's no character actually on the walls. Does that make sense? Like
Hmm.
a lot of Victorian type of looks. A lot of like mainstream people are trying to bring that into their home right now. Um, and yeah, if you have the unlimited budget to add all that trim work and everything, then go for it. But I would say like I don't know, stick to the actual style of your home and implement with throw pillows or things that you're not spending an arm and a leg on, to where if you change or your style changes, you can switch it out in a few years and you're not like, dang it, we just paid to do that.
I gotcha. Okay. Almost more like accents that you can switch out.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Definitely.
Love it.
So if anybody is doing a kitchen, like, again, in a kitchen is a lot of money, especially for a remodel and investment.
Mm-hmm.
Stay true, again, to your home, but pick something timeless. And then that way you can kind of switch things out a little bit, even in your own kitchen later on.
Okay. I like these ideas. I knew I held off on some projects until I talked to you for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Grace, going back to kind of that feel of the home, I do feel like your spaces have that grounded feel, but you also have lots of light textures, and kind of bringing all of that together. And going back to, like, I keep thinking about your dining room experience and just how like you're highlighting that in your new home. I do feel like a lot of us underestimate how our home environment really affects how we show up in the world. And you have already alluded to this in so many ways that has just made my heart so happy. But how do you see design as part of like our emotional or perhaps even our spiritual well-being?
It's funny you were talking about the spiritual well-being, because I told my husband literally yesterday, I said, I'm trying not to get emotional. And I was like, I know this sounds cheesy. I was like, but I feel like designing this home has actually spiritually sharpened me, because it's created a vision for me, for my family.
Okay, I love that. Be cheesy with me and go all in. Tell me all about it.
Because since we have decided to go big on this dining room, I'm in the kitchen more, trying to come up with new recipes. I am putting more effort in. I feel like I'm showing up more for my family, because I'm thinking, like, I have little ones right now, so it's hard, like toddlers. Like, we still sit together as a family every night, but like, they're messy and they're wild and just they are their own creatures during this season of life. But, right? However, though, since I do have older ones now, I have a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old. I have the insight of the toddler season is actually not forever. And that 9 and 10-year-old, I've seen who they are now and the character that's been developing in them. And so this next season of my life is they're going to end up being teenagers in this home, right? And my other ones are going to end up being 9 and 10 in this home. So it's like, you got to think beyond your current like the current season. Okay. So especially as a mother and a wife, your children aren't going to be little forever. So it's like, what memories and traditions do you want to mold into them? Like, what, and because one day they're going to have families of their own. And it's like, what do you think of your grandchildren? How do you want parents showing up for your own grandchildren, and you realize you're shaping them of who the parents they're going to be. And I know this is so long-term, but I can't help but think long-term, because for me, I think it keeps me, kind of like I was saying, I felt like spiritually this was sharpening me. Like, okay, what are my prayers for my children right now? And in this home, like, I want to host people. There's people in our families who, what her husband right now currently is overseas, and she has 4 children, was being able to create a place to give back to other people too, I guess. I'd be like, okay, how can we make someone come in and feel relaxed and feel like they just get that break from everything that's going on around them? And again, you can do this without spending something crazy. Like, if you're like, I want something pretty, like if someone's listening to this right now, and when my husband and I first got married, we lived in my grandmother's basement for 3.5 years, right? And one day I was cleaning down there, and it's like the Lord touched my heart and was like, clean this home as if you're cleaning your dream home. And it's like, use what you have now and treat it as if you are already there. It's like, I don't know. And there's a scripture talking about, like, we're working for the Lord. Like, no one's seeing how I'm sweeping a floor, right? And it doesn't matter if it's perfect, but it's the work ethic behind it. It's what you're
Yes.
building for your family. Like there is actually power in the simplicity of your house chores. Like I can't explain it, but there really is. So with that mentality, that's been my mindset over and over is like, what do I have now? Like, because currently we're in our barn dominium while we rent. I mean, not while we rent, while we wait for our house to be built on this
Mm-hmm.
property. And we only have a kitchen island. We didn't do a dining room in here. So you have literally all of us around this little island, kitchen island last night, you know? So it's like, even now I don't have anything grand, but last night I chose to treat it as if it were,
Uh-huh.
you know, it's ate it up. But what I was going to say is you could even go to Dollar Tree I think they usually sell chargers like that you, or like placemats and stuff.
Yeah.
So you can start off somewhere small. Like if you're in that season of life, you're newly married and you might be pregnant or you might already have 2 children and you're just like, how do I do this for my family? Like go somewhere and give yourself a $25 budget and just get some cute plates that can be for just that one night a week. Like if you don't have to do this every night, but it could be where you're like, you know what? I want to bring this element to my family. And it is designed. Picking out dishware
Mm-hmm.
is designed, believe it or not. So it's like you're taking that little element of like, okay, how can I do this purposeful for my family?
Mm-hmm.
And you can choose to buy wherever you want. But even Walmart has a lot of beautiful stuff right now. So
Yes. I do feel like Walmart's making a comeback.
I know that Pioneer Woman stuff. I'm like, that is beautiful.
um, do you feel like certain materials or like color palettes can shift our mood or energy?
I think so. I lean towards earthy tones.
Mm-hmm.
I always have. It's not like a trend thing or anything. It's just my husband and I both kind of have a style together. Now, of course, like I can scroll Pinterest and be like, oh, love, love, love. He can scroll Pinterest. I'm like, oh, you want to live in like a cabin. Like, like, but we also have a style that comes together. And he and I both, I love stone.
Mm-hmm.
I also love hardwood floors. And we like real, like natural stone. We like the natural hardwood floors. And even when it comes to our countertops, we prefer like granite quartzite marble versus a quartz. Again, nothing wrong with it. It's just something that we lean into as a couple. And then even wall colors, anytime I've used white, it's always a warm white.
Okay.
There is actually one color right now that every time I show it to my clients, it's the color they've gone with every single time. And I'll just tell it for you and your listeners. It's Shoji White by Sherwin-Williams. And it's the perfect mixture between like people who are like, I don't want beige. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want white. It's the perfect, like, happy middle ground color. And everybody loves it. Like it's beautiful.
Okay. I'm going to go back and re-listen and write it down.
Down. Another thing I love to do is you're talking about creating mood. I have started to love like a good moody room.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I think stick to neutrals in your main spaces, but lean into a little bit more personality when it comes to a half bath that you might have. And you're like, I've been loving black. And you're like, what's wrong with me? I'm loving black right now. But you don't want to paint your house black, right? So it's like lean into it in that bathroom. Like, okay, what create something unique in here? How can I create an experience, even for yourself? It's like when you stayed at a hotel before or you've gone somewhere to a spa, and it's an experience when you go to these places. And it's like, what stood out to you that you could bring into your own home?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Little rabbit trail here. Tell me your thoughts about wallpaper, because I do feel like it may be a little bit trendy, but I'm trying to convince my husband to put wallpaper in our half bath. So,
100% do it. I love wallpaper.
okay.
My husband at first when I would tell my husband wallpaper, he was like, no, like wallpaper. You think of like maybe the 80s, early 90s. And my husband was like, no. Okay. So funny story. When I was telling you how I put wallpaper on my hallway ceiling.
Yes. I love that idea.
I've gotten more compliments from men
No
about
way.
the wallpaper on the ceiling. And one of them was my husband's brother, who is like, he's an he was in the Marines. Like, he works on an oil like rig. Like, he's like manly as manly gets.
Uh-huh.
Just this 6'3" guy, like just very over the top masculine. And he's like, "Oh, I like that wallpaper." And I'm like, "What? What?"
I love it.
You know,
That
so
is
you
funny.
maybe tell your husband, trust the process. That's what I have to tell my clients sometimes. Just trust the process. Be like, "Honey, just trust the process." Maybe just do the ceiling. Like, all right, we're doing on the ceiling. Just trust me. And he's like, "Okay."
I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
I love some wallpaper. I've got some Pinterest things saved, but convincing
Oh,
him to, maybe it's because I make him do the work. Maybe that's what it
yeah.
is.
Right.
uh,
Removable wallpaper is very forgiving.
okay.
So you could experiment with that and just be like, because if you don't get it right, you can literally just take it off and put it back on. So
Okay. Again, we'll write that down.
yes.
I know that we both have families and kids and everyday life, and home is not always perfect. It's not always perfectly, cleaned up and styled and all the things. We've got book bags and cleats and
Right.
all the things. So when you're approaching design in like a real livable home, where we have kids and all of that, and we still want it to feel peaceful, what's like the biggest piece of advice you would give somebody?
Is find a way to hide your clutter better.
Okay.
So, for example, I have a recent client and she has a granddaughter now, and she's like, I want toys out for her, right? Then I'm like, then let's pick a neutral, cute basket. Like, it doesn't have to be an Elmo basket you have in your living room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, let the basket be for you. So, like, for example, in all of my kids' rooms, really, we've just got baskets and there's toys in our living room, but it's a cute basket. Like, the basket's for me. And it's okay to have some boundaries for yourself as a mom. I think sometimes we lean into, oh, it's for the kids, it's for the kids. And then you have the other spectrum where some moms are like, I don't care that I have kids. Like, it's going to look perfect.
Uh-huh.
You need to be in the middle. You need to be in the middle. It's okay. Like, it's okay for them to have, it's okay that they have toys in the living room. Just put it in a cute, simple basket, or buy a cabinet piece where you've got a lot of clutter just like going on one place.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely just recommend buying a cute little like credenza or something that you can hide away the clutter just a little bit better. I've seen that change so many homes, truthfully.
Okay. I can relate to that. We've moved multiple times. We were in a really bad pattern of like moving every 2 years for a little while.
Same.
But that's okay. Anyways, I feel like I would just like move baskets of clutter with us. And I was like, I'll go through that eventually. And I finally did this year. Grace, it was highly embarrassing. It's just like a bunch of paper,
Yes.
like boxes and boxes. And like, what do I need to keep it? Do I not? I finally sat down with a shredder and like, started to like declutter.
Yeah.
3 trash bags full of just shredded paper. I was like, oh my gosh.
Why have I been packing this?
Why? Been moving it with me.
And I think another good advice for wives right now, and anybody, not just wives, but women in general, is what I was trying to say, is in my kitchen, I always allow myself a junk drawer, just because there are all those random things. You're like, what, where is this? How did this get in here? What do I do with it? And you don't have the brain capacity for it because you're in the middle of getting your children ready to go walk out the door. You're in the middle of cooking dinner, but you're like, it's driving me crazy sitting on the countertop. Like, you're like, I want a clean countertop, or you want a 5-minute refresh for your home. And you're like, where did this stapler come from? Like, you're like, what the heck? Like, just random stuff. I have one junk drawer, and every now and then when it starts getting a little much, I go through it and I'm like, okay, clean it up, but you don't have to do it all the time. So it's just a good little catch-all place.
I love it. I love it. We all have our own little junk drawer. Okay, so clutter does seem to be a really common stressor, I feel like, for everyone. Like it's just universal. We all have all these like little pieces. What do we do with it?
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you give to someone who's feeling overwhelmed by stuff?
I would just do one room at a time. I would also recommend finding some fun music, turn it on, and just be like, I'm going to focus on this one room. Because I think, especially like people who may have a little bit of ADHD or it's hard to stay on track, or if you got a bunch of kids running around, you can get distracted and you start in one room and then you're in the next room and then you're in the next and doesn't feel like you've made a dent even though you've just got done decluttering for 3 hours. Kill one room, make it look flawless. Like let that be your heart and your soul for the day is that one room. Because then at the end of the day, you're going to be like, this feels so nice. And then it's going to motivate you to do the other rooms or the other corners that are kind of stressing you out. So, and that's even as far as design goes. Like if you have a limited budget and you're like, how many rooms can I get done at once with this amount of money? I think I still would recommend finish one room.
Okay.
Save up again, do another room. Because you're not going to feel the impact of that certain budget if you kind of like thin it out throughout the house versus knocking out one project at a time.
That makes total sense. I love that. Okay, kind of wrapping this up because I know that we have lots more to do in a day. But I feel like you and me both kind of have that shared belief of like home can be a sacred place where like we come to and we do feel like we can rest and just exhale. What would you tell our listeners if you could just make one small shift today to make their home feel more peaceful and timeless? What would be that one piece of advice?
Peaceful and timeless. I would honestly, especially because like I don't know budget wise, like this is something that's going to go for anyone, any season of life, is pick a spot of clutter that's been stressing you out and honestly do something about it. Like if it's to go get a basket, if it's where you can go and spend money and buy a big new cabinet piece, it doesn't matter. I would figure out a way to declutter some spaces because you can't enjoy it. It wouldn't matter if you went and bought new throw pillows. If that clutter is still there, that's still going to stress you out. So that's my first advice. The second advice I'd give is, I don't know if you've heard the phrase like romanticizing your own life.
Yes.
Find something in your day-to-day routine, whether it's where you get ready in the mornings, whether it's it could be kind of like we were talking about, it can be in the kitchen, whether it's like you want to romanticize your coffee routine or your dinner on Wednesday nights. Find something in your life that you can pour a little bit extra love into, and that will actually change your mindset and give you a little bit of a refresh too.
I love that. I'm going to go do that.
Right? A little coffee mug. It does change things. I can't explain it, but it makes you show up better for whether it's a career, whether it's a relationship, whether you're a caregiver. It's you actually looking after yourself in a way. Does that make sense? While you're also others around you.
Yes. I love it. I love it. So much practical advice in our conversation today.
I know. I'm like, I know it's interior design, but I feel like this is interior design to me. It's not about it being perfect. And I think a lot of people hire interior designers because they want their home to be perfect. Perfection is not real. And if you can try to chase after it, it's exhausting. Where I want to do the opposite. I want to create something that's peaceful and relaxing and obtainable.
Yes. Grace, is there anything that you feel like is just on your heart that you would like to share with our audience as we wrap up?
Yeah. Here lately I've been, I don't feel like there's a lot of examples in society anymore of motherhood. I think I don't know, don't be afraid to lean into being feminine. and taking care of your own children and your husband. Like, there is still so much value and power in that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like as a society, we have kind of forgotten that. I think women are encouraged to be like these like boss women, and I'm still an entrepreneur, so like, and that's just something natural that I love. So it's not, I'm not even against that, but there is a balance that you have to find, and you have to keep your family first. Even husbands or even if the man is the breadwinner and everything, he still has to find balance. Family still has to be the priority. And then also as a woman, this is leaning into like a whole other topic, but like, I guess like the sexualization of women is also something that's like really encouraged. Like, you're more of a woman by the way you look, you know, where I feel like being a woman is more of how you treat people. Mm-hmm. And how you walk and how you carry yourself. So it's kind of like old school values in a way. So it's like, if you are struggling with how you see yourself as a woman, I would lean into that. I would lean into discovering yourself as a mother and as a wife and who you actually really want to be. And how can you implement that in whatever role or season of life you currently are in. And as a Christian, there is a book called The Power of a Praying Wife by Stormy. I cannot remember the last name, but it's an easy read, and there's just like daily little prayers and devotionals that have shaped me as a woman, honestly. So that could be a book that someone was like, okay, like, what is it? What does it mean to be a wife or a woman? Or I would lean into, I don't know, discovering that side of you versus just seeing what you see on your For You page on Instagram. It's not who you need to be.
Girl, I feel like we can be best friends just off of that last little tidbit. We'll be best friends forever.
Right? That's why you pick toxic. And I'm like, it's not showing us real examples of who we're supposed to be. And it's
absolutely
creating a lot of people who are losing their identities because they don't understand who they're called to be. So,
Man, you nailed it right there. I love it. Tell us where people can connect with you and see your work.
So I am pretty active on my Instagram, Grace Porter Designs. I have a website, graceporterdesigns.com as well. So that's where you can get in touch with me and we can talk all things, I guess, from interior design to womanhood.
I love it. And I'll be sure to tag your Instagram and your website in our show notes.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really, really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for coming on. Wasn't that beautiful? Grace has such a way of reminding us that home isn't just what we see. It's what we feel. I hope today's conversation inspires you to create spaces that support your peace and reflect who you truly are. If you loved this episode, take a screenshot and share it on Instagram. Tag me at Amy Grace Clark and tag Grace at Grace Porter Designs and tell us your favorite takeaway. And if you're ready for more conversations about faith, family, and well-being, hit follow so you don't miss what's next. Until next time, remember, your home and your heart can both be places of peace and purpose.